Chapter 236. The Dragon, the Pitfall, and some kind of monster hunter. A rather unexpected situation has occurred. I found the Ogre-kun who had gone missing, but it was in the middle of a death match with the renowned Ice Dragon. Wow! As clear as day, he hath become berserk. He's really a wild and savage Oni now. He has no trace of humanity in him, though. It's hopeless. The magic mountains are guarded by the Ice Dragon, but even though it should be considerably strong, it's Ogre-kun who has the upper hand. It feels like his skills haven't developed that much, but his status is on a whole other level. With one blow from a magic sword, the Ice Dragon's scales are easily being cut off. He's dual-wielding exactly like Demon's Stance. It's also a matter of bad affinities. One of Magic Sword Ogre-kun's One of Magic Sword's Ogre-kun is using has the Fire attribute. The Fire attribute is harsh against the Ice Dragon. Also, it's significant that he's not using magic, the magic obstruction that is the characteristic of the dragon species. It basically becomes useless when the opponent doesn't cast magic. The attribute attack from the Magic Swords is also a form of magic skill, but since it's not magic from the system's perspective, the effects cannot be blocked. In short, taking blows one after another from the worst attribute, the Ice Dragon has now been driven into a corner. Consider how I was having such a hardship with the Earth Dragons. The difference caused by affinities is momentous. I was a special caster type who had somehow or other gained weakness in chanting magic, right? Ogre-kun here is a hardcore fighter type. He's completely different to me. That's right. Speaking of the dragons, it seems that the vampire girl has developed some kind of strange skill. It was activated during a mock battle class. White scales appearing on vampire girl's body. The magic of the teacher who was acting as her opponent vanished before the vampire girl. I could only consider it being the dragon scale series of skills. Furthermore, going by how the magic was completely erased, the level is extremely high. How did she obtain a skill that should be limited to the dragon species? What comes to mind is the Envy skill. I think for the privileged skill connected to the title of Ruler of Envy, perhaps they are the dragon skill series of skills. How enviable, and how envious is the holder of the Envy skill. After all, vampires already get rare skills, and she even has the ultra-rare skills limited to the dragon species of all things. Sure is extravagant, huh? On top of the Immortal Body skill, which gives her a high defense from the start, she has the Dragon Scale defense added on top of that. Contrary to her appearance, the Vampire Girl is overly armored. It's hardly something I can say of others, but she sure has no intent on dying, huh? Oops, my story wandered. And during that time, the battle between Ogre-kun and Ice Dragon was concluded. It's Ogre-kun's victory. Well, the Ice Dragon did its best, but on top of bad affinities against an opponent with Wrath activated, it's just too big of a disadvantage. Besides, at the last moment, I think it made a good decision to use a blizzard as a smokescreen to plan an escape. For a death before dishonor, Earth Dragon, such feelings may lead it to fight until the bitter end, but there are times when it's necessary to turn your back to the enemy and flee. It's good to be alive. If you're alive, then you still may get the chance to get revenge, but dying means losing everything. The Ice Dragon managed to escape from Ogre-kun by a hair's breadth. I guess Ogre-kun lost interest in the Ice Dragon after it fled and leaves in another direction. That direction is bad news. Well, at the time of the battle with the Ice Dragon, I had seriously had bad premonition, though. Where Ogre-kun is heading to, beyond the Magic Mountain, lies a peaceful land, surrounded by mountains and the sea, isolated from the outside world as a strange place. At that place, there are no monsters, no strife, no discrimination. A place where humans and demons both live together in equality. Now, in this world, it's a unique land. Clearly, it was developed by a certain someone, an artificial paradise. That certain someone is one of a kind, Kuro, Administrator Girishtodes. Only that god could create such a place. Well, I understand the goal. This is the land where souls recuperate. It shelters souls that become worn out by the system, separated from strife in order to try to prolong their lives. Because if that isn't done, eventually those souls will break down. There are many humans and demons being sheltered. It feels like a single country all by itself. The meaning of that is that there are, in fact, just that many humans and demons who have nearly reached their limit. Sooner or later, this world will collapse. It's obviously the case. However, I think that there's a bit of a margin still. That is, something I was compelled to review after I found this sheltered land. Basically, we're in checkmate. The Demon King probably doesn't know about this. She thinks that this world will be saved so long as humans and demons are forced into a huge war, and if the scant amount of MA energy is replenished, but it's not that simple. Already, even if the MA energy is replenished, it won't be enough, because the source of the energy supply is about to start decreasing. Also, if my prediction is correct, then it won't begin gradually, but all at once. At the time when I realized this, it had already become way too late. Kuro should be already expecting that to happen to a certain extent. Even so, he took no effective actions. Even if Kuro does have some stupid reason for this place, he's still conflicted and unable to reach a decision. Well, I do think that Kuro does have various kinds of conflicts, but while he's been dithering, the world is in danger of collapse. If only he'd been able to take brave decisions, then we wouldn't be so close to doomsday, I suppose. That fool. So if Ogre-kun arrives at that sheltered land, it's obvious that a slaughter will begin, since Wrath has completely wiped out his sense of reason. That's no longer a reincarnator or any such thing, simply an incarnation of Wrath, a single monster. I doubt that Kuro will just let nature take its course. What to do, huh? Well, I've already decided what I'm going to do, though. Sure enough, inside the distorted place that I'd spread out, Kuro becomes entangled. It's rather like the trick of using a spider web. Those sorts of traps are my specialty, you know? And now it's a death shoot of spider hell with swarms of clones. While I'm at it, I toss in a watch I pilfered from Dee's house. La-di-da-di-da. La-di-da-la-da-da. Right, whatever. It's a space-time management watch. It's a D special production watch that manipulates space and time, single use only. For the other dimension I've now locked Kuro into, the flow of time will be far slower than outside. With this, Kuro won't be able to come out for several years. I borrowed several other useful goods from Dee's house, but every single one has some dangerous method in their usage. In Dee's particular manner, I think of these as probably intended to be support materials, so I shall gratefully make use of them, though. And that reminds me, at some point I lost the cursed cards. To think I'd lose that dangerous stuff. Hopefully it's not being misused somewhere. Since I've successfully sealed up Kuro, there's nobody left who can interfere with Ogre-kun. Go ahead and slaughter to your heart's content. That's also for the sake of those in the protected area as well. I'm scared of how Kuro will be when he gets out, though. Well, I'll think about it when the time comes. I'll have Ogre-kun become the scapegoat. At any rate, he's been swallowed up by wrath and is no longer fit for purpose. Okay, so there's a bunch of magic mountains, right? Okay, mountain range, demon dance. Okay, sure. Magic sea, death shoot. All right. There we go. That's the end. If you wanted to read those, pause, whatever. I skimmed them. Thanks, Corn. Somebody told me that's actually kind of funny because the character in that picture is sometimes called Corn for some reason or another. So great. They're corn. Oh, goodness.